welcome to this discussion on finance transformation in banks, brought to you by The Banker magazine from our studio in London. My name is Michael Imson and I'm a contributing editor at The Banker. I'm joined here today by Dr. Nico Kohler of SAP, the software company. Dr. Kohler is the Director of Solution Management in the company's Financial Services division. Now, what do we mean by finance transformation? Well, it's a very broad term relating to anything that banks might have to do to change, modernise or improve the role and operations of their finance departments. But for the purposes of this discussion, we're taking a much narrower definition. By finance transformation, we mean what banks are doing to update their financial processes and the software that performs those processes. I'll say more about it in a moment, but first, Dr. Kohler, can you give us a brief introduction to SAP and tell us about your role in the company?
Well, SAP is the leading enterprise application software provider worldwide. We have more than 170,000 customers in more than 120 countries and deliver products and services that help customers to become best-run businesses. In my role, I'm responsible for the accounting and profitability management solutions that SAP provides for banks.
Thank you. Before we start the interview, I just need to set the scene by saying a few words on transforming financial processes in banks, what it involves, why it's important. No matter how good the finance department's processes are, they often have to be updated along with the associated software and perhaps even the hardware. Constantly reviewing and transforming the way things are done is essential if the finance function is to keep pace with changing commercial and regulatory requirements, if it's to become more effective, and if it's to become more cost efficient. Transforming processes and software so they are fit for purpose is not an easy task. Our discussion, therefore, is going to deal with all the key issues split into 6 sessions. First, we shall deal with the basic premise, the inescapable fact that banks these days need to transform their financial processes to keep up with commercial, regulatory and technological change. Second, case studies will look at some real-life examples of bank finance departments that have been updated and why. Third, we'll talk about implementation, how banks actually go about changing the way their finance departments operate, the problems encountered on the way, and how they get round them. Fourth, software. We'll discuss the role of software in all of this. Fifth, success criteria. We'll find out how to measure the success or otherwise of transformation initiatives. And sixth, the future. We'll explore future trends in this area, such as the convergence of the finance and risk functions and in-memory computing. So, Dr. Kohler, I've set the scene, but you're the expert. What are the commercial, regulatory and technological pressures that are forcing banks to transform their financial processes?
Well, commercial pressure comes from the stakeholders of the bank. So first, stakeholders expect that data is correct and consistent. Second, they expect that data is provided faster. Third, they want to have access to more detailed information. And fourth, stakeholders require that their processes run at reasonable cost. Then from a regulatory perspective, the permanently changing requirements lead to additional complexity in finance. And then you also mentioned the technological perspective. Banks often have not done significant investments in their IT infrastructure in the recent past. And this has led to system infrastructures that do not support the processes efficiently. And sometimes you also have the situation in banks that key experts in a certain technology which is outdated in the meantime are no longer available.
Yeah, I see. Can you say a little bit more about the commercial drivers?
Well, in finance, correct data has highest priority. In addition, CFOs expect that the data is also consistent. So the financial crisis we had in 2008 and 2009 led to many of mergers and acquisitions, with banks facing the problem of heterogeneous system landscapes. So there are often banks which have several general ledgers from different vendors after an acquisition. And this raises the questions to CFO organization about getting these heterogeneous system landscapes under control. So what I mean by this is that data structures and processes need to be synchronized, they need to be changed in order to ensure consistent reporting on group level.
Yeah.
And then at the same time, it is also important to provide the data faster. So optimizing the closing process is also a key issue for all users in finance. And then it is also important that you do not only provide data on aggregated level, but also for each individual contract. Running audit trails, accessing the data on single contract level is also a key aspect for finance.
Yeah.
And then last but certainly not least, it is about cost efficiency. And all this, so correct and consistent data, fast close, and having access to more detailed information has to be ensured at reasonable cost or under high pressure in order to even reduce the costs. And these are the key drivers that force banks to streamline their financial processes.
And what about the regulatory pressures on finance departments? Can you say a little bit more about that, what they are?
Well, the regulatory requirements lead to additional complexity in finance. A current example is IFRS 9 that replaces the current standards regarding recognition and measurement of financial instruments, which is IAS 39. And IFRS 9 is about 3 phases. It is phase 1, the entire model, which is currently being changed about financial contracts which are measured at fair value versus financial contracts which are measured at amortized cost. Phase 2 is about expected changes regarding impairment accounting. These are especially referring to the good book. And phase 3 is about expected changes regarding hedge accounting. In summary, we observe the commercial pressure combined with the technological pressure that leads to the fact of finance transformation processes we have today.